A pregnant woman named Clara escapes her abusive husband on a stormy night and seeks refuge in a biker bar called the Iron Vultures. What happened next will get everyone speechless. The night was merciless. Rain lashed the earth in icy sheets, and thunder rolled across a sky as black as sin. A woman named Clara stumbled barefoot along a lonely back road, soaked to the bone. Every breath she took came out in short, painful gasps. Mud splattered her legs, her thin dress clung to her trembling body, and one hand pressed against her swollen belly. 8 months pregnant, terrified, and bleeding from a split lip, she fought to keep moving. Behind her was everything she feared. Her husband, Mark, a man whose love had long turned to violence. He'd thrown her against a wall when she told him she was leaving. So she ran. No shoes, no money, no plan. Just the desperate need to protect her unborn child. Through the downpour, she saw a distant light cutting through the storm. It flickered red and weak but felt like salvation. A neon sign, half broken and buzzing, read, "The Iron Vultures Bar." Clara pushed open the heavy wooden door, and the room fell silent. The bar smelled of smoke, oil, and beer. Around a dozen men sat at the counter and tables. Bikers with leather vests, tattooed arms, and eyes that spoke of hard roads and harder lives. But before we dive into what happens next, I'd love to know, where are you tuning in from today? Drop your country in the comment below and please like the video. Thank you. Now let's continue. Every head turned toward her. She looked like a ghost, wet, pale, trembling. The men exchanged looks of confusion and curiosity. A tall man stood at the counter, gray-bearded and broad-shouldered. His vest marked with the word President. His name was Ryder, leader of the Iron Vultures. He had seen his share of chaos, loss, and regret. His eyes, sharp and tired, locked on Clara's. Her voice broke as she whispered, "Please, I need help." Then her knees buckled, and she hit the floor. Ryder stepped forward immediately, his boots echoing across the wooden floor. He crouched beside her, unsure what he was dealing with, a setup, a trap, or something else. But when he saw her hands shaking, her belly swollen, and the bruise on her cheek, suspicion faded. "Who did this to you?" he asked quietly. Clara's voice came out in fragments. "My husband. He said he'd kill me if I ever left. Please. I just need to make it through tonight." The bikers looked uneasy. They weren't men used to offering comfort. Violence, yes. Protection, sometimes. But kindness, that was rare. Ryder straightened and faced his crew. "She stays," he said firmly. "No one touches her. No one bothers her. She's under my roof tonight." There was no argument. No one dared question Ryder when his voice sounded like that. They took Clara to a small office in the back, sat her down, and handed her a towel and water. Her fingers trembled as she wrapped herself in the towel and tried to speak. Between sobs, she told them her story. How Mark had once been charming, how everything changed after she became pregnant. He grew possessive, cruel, and unpredictable. That night, his rage exploded. He hit her, called her names, told her she'd never escape him. But she did. As the men listened, the room grew heavy with silence. Even the toughest of them shifted uncomfortably. Dylan, the youngest biker, brought her a pair of dry clothes and a sandwich. She thanked him softly, and for a moment, his eyes dropped, not out of shame but out of something unfamiliar, respect. Later, Clara finally fell asleep on a cot in the back office, wrapped in an old quilt someone's mother had made years ago. Outside the door, Ryder sat in a chair, staring into the darkness. He thought about his own daughter, Mia, the little girl who used to wait for him by the window every night until she realized he wasn't coming home anymore. He hadn't seen her in 10 years. Maybe she hated him now. Maybe she didn't even remember him. But helping Clara stirred something inside him, something he thought he'd lost forever. Rain still hammered the windows. The bar was quiet except for the hum of the jukebox in the corner. And for the first time in a long time, Ryder prayed. Not for himself, but for a frightened woman and the unborn child who depended on her. Just before dawn, The roar of an engine outside broke the silence. Headlights glared through the rain. Ryder rose from his chair. A few seconds later, the bar door slammed open, and a man stormed in, wet, furious, his eyes wild with rage. "Where is she?" he bellowed. "Where's my wife?" The bikers stood up in unison. The air grew thick, electric. Ryder stepped forward, his expression calm but deadly. "You need to walk out that door," he said evenly. Mark's voice cracked with anger. "She's mine. You hear me? She belongs to me." He lunged toward the hallway that led to the office, but 3 bikers grabbed him, holding him back with brutal strength. Chairs scraped, fists clenched, tempers flared. Ryder stepped closer until his face was inches from Mark's. His voice dropped low. "You lost the right to call her yours the moment you hit her." Mark struggled, shouting curses, but before he could do more damage, police sirens wailed outside. One of the men had called them quietly while the confrontation unfolded. Within minutes, the officers dragged Mark away, still screaming as the door closed behind him. When it was over, Clara came out of the office. Her face was pale, her hands shaking, but she was safe. She looked at Ryder, sitting at the bar, staring into his beer. Slowly, she walked up to him. "You saved my life," she whispered. Ryder looked up at her, his voice low. "No, Clara. You reminded us we still have one." The next morning, the bikers fixed her old car, filled the tank, and packed food for her trip. Dylan handed her a few bills, awkwardly muttering that it wasn't charity. One by one, the men wished her luck. Ryder walked her outside. The rain had finally stopped, the air cool and clean. He handed her a folded note, an address. "If you ever need a place to run," he said, "you come here." She nodded, tears streaming down her face. "Thank you for everything." Then she drove away, leaving behind a group of men who, for the first time in years, felt proud of who they were. Weeks passed. The Iron Vultures returned to their rides, their engines, and their quiet brotherhood. But something about that night stayed with them all. The bar felt different, warmer somehow. Then one afternoon, Ryder received a letter. The envelope was smudged with travel stains, but the handwriting was familiar. He opened it slowly. Inside was a small photograph, a baby wrapped in a soft blue blanket, eyes closed, peaceful. On the back, in gentle handwriting, were 6 words that silenced the entire room. "His name is Faith. Because of you." Ryder stared at the photo, his rough hands trembling. Around him, the men said nothing. Some smiled faintly. Others blinked back tears. For a long while no one spoke. Then Ryder lifted the photo toward the dim light and whispered, "Maybe life still gives us second chances, just not the ones we expect." That night, the Iron Vultures didn't ride. They stayed inside, passing the photo around, each man holding onto a quiet truth. Redemption doesn't always roar. Sometimes it cries, it trembles, and it arrives in the form of a woman who walked into the wrong bar on the right night. And as the rain began to fall again outside, Ryder looked at his men and said softly, "Guess kindness isn't weakness after all. Before you scroll away, please, take a moment to listen. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you that compassion can still be found in unexpected places, then don't let it end here. Every tale we share at Echoes of Life Stories carries a heartbeat. Stories of courage, hope, forgiveness, and the power of kindness to change even the darkest nights. Your one click, your one subscription, helps us keep these echoes alive. Stories that speak to the soul and remind us that humanity still exists. So please like, share, comment, and subscribe to Echoes of Life Stories. Because somewhere out there, someone needs to hear that goodness isn't gone. It's just waiting to be told.